Are you sitting comfortably?
Hello and welcome to another episode of Are You Sitting Comfortably on East London Radio at 12 p.m. It's that time once more for another movie review. Can you guess what that was from, Scott?
I can, because you told me just before we started listening to it.
And it's all written down in front of you.
It is also
But play along.
All right, sorry. No, please tell me all about it, Roo.
Well, I will.
All right.
It's from the Hunger Games. It's called The Hanging Tree.
Right.
Composed by James Newton Howard. And yes, that was Jennifer Lawrence's voice you could hear there. Singing along. She did rather well, I think.
Yeah, she's all right.
That was from The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1. And they didn't realise it was going to be as popular as it turned out to be. So they had to sort of last minute...
the single, not the film.
Yeah, that's true. Well,
okay, yeah, they knew how popular the film was going to be, I hope.
They stuck that on the official soundtrack, I think, at a later date, because people were saying, "Where's the hanging tree? I need the hanging tree."
Gosh.
In fact, there's one lyric in there that was originally a necklace of rope, but they changed it to a necklace of hope. Because it would be too...
Much like a tree that was used for hanging.
Yes, I know, exactly.
It's kind of says.
If you're going to change it from rope to hope, you may as well change the hanging tree to the...
Hoping tree?
The hoping tree. The happy tree. Yes. How have you been? Anyway, since 2 weeks ago, because you weren't on the last show.
No,
William took your place.
Last week. I missed you last week.
I missed you.
I was at a wedding, so I was very hungover, and trying to seduce a waiter who wasn't at all interested. That's my hobby at weddings, is to
seduce
get
the waiter.
Very drunk and try and snog a waiter. I've not managed
better
it
than
yet.
Seducing the groom.
Yes, no, I think that's frowned upon.
Generally.
Yeah.
Well, that early anyway.
Yeah, no. Leave it a couple of weeks at least.
We'll be asking the question today.
We will.
Who said this? Who?
Amazing.
Who said this? Any ideas? Now, obviously, the clue would be we're dealing with a big franchise here.
Right.
That would have been a trilogy if it weren't for the fact that they insisted on splitting the last book into 2 parts, which is the trend to do now, just to push it that much further, get some more cash out of the crowd. Who said...
Okay, so
I don't think you could call it a young adult franchise, but certainly popular among... It's sort of in that,
Right.
chuck it in there with Harry Potter, Twilight, etc., etc. Yes.
Okay.
Any ideas?
I've a guess.
Well, don't.
But
Don't
I don't.
guess it when
always,
the song's on, so that you don't spoil it for anyone.
All right. I always guess and then get it right 5 minutes into the show, and I feel very bad about that. So, is it someone who sat on something pointy? He sounds. Whatever it was, he doesn't sound comfortable.
It isn't.
Right. Good.
No, he's
that
not
narrows
sat
it
on
down.
anything pointy.
Okay.
Or
Otherwise uncomfortable.
He's not sat on anything at all,
Oh,
actually.
oh,
I think he's shouting at someone who's sat on something he doesn't want him to be sat on. Anyway, if you know the answer, please do tweet us at ELR Comfortably on Twitter and use the Facebook page, facebook.com/ELR Comfortably. And you can listen to our back catalogue of all our other shows, including the one last week where Scott wasn't here but Will was instead. And our Who Said That Then was an old woman from the Sainsbury's advert this year for Christmas.
Spoiled it.
Yes, but, people are going to want to go back and be like, who is this woman?
She deserves a medal.
Yes,
Yeah.
Mog's Christmas Calamity. It's just brilliant.
Yeah. I actually knew that one because I'd seen the advert.
Oh, good. Yeah. Well, it was pretty much out that week, wasn't it?
I was quite smug. I don't normally guess them, so when I do guess them, I get them right immediately, or not at all. So yeah, I was quite pleased with myself.
All or nothing. Our Mixcloud is Mixcloud. The shows are on mixcloud.com/Roobox. But obviously now as well, very exciting news. We have a website.
Yeah, we do. It went live this morning. We saw it and everything.
Saw it happen.
It did.
elrcomfortably.co.uk.
Yeah.
So that'll act as a hub for all things Are You Sitting Comfortably. In movie news,
Yes.
strangely enough, a sequel I didn't think was going to happen. We've got a new Huntsman movie coming out.
This is surprising because the first one was pants.
It really was.
Actual grey, saggy pants. There was nothing really good about that
Well,
film.
you had Bella Swan running through the woods with Thor, both in a bad mood. And I put it on the same level as you remember me saying about how Alice in Wonderland was a bit of a disappointment.
A bit of a disappointment.
Yeah, well, you went in thinking, oh, this is going to be imaginative and some sort of fantasy land where anything is possible, and then you realise that it's just kind of paid
Johnny
by
Depp
numbers.
And
yeah.
Helena,
Well, yeah, but in this case, it was Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah.
By the way, I remember after coming out of Hunger Games, which we will get to later in the show.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I remember you saying that wasn't a Hemsworth.
Was it not?
He is a Hemsworth.
It is a Hemsworth. Are there three of them? Because he didn't look like the other one.
Who's this Hemsworth? Liam Hemsworth.
So it was.
Yes, it's a Hemsworth.
Oh, all right. Well,
I told you he had Thor's forehead.
Well, okay.
So yeah, there's going to be more
Thor's biceps though. Sadly,
unfortunately not. No. But more Chris Hemsworth in the new Huntsman movie. So that's a good thing. I mean, I might just go and watch it for that reason alone.
well,
especially
probably why everyone's going to go and watch it because it's got
he
a
might
big
be,
hot man in it and
might be frolicking in a shallow pond again.
Well, I'm sure they'll oh no, my t-shirt's fallen off. Quick, let's get the bad guy. Because that's how they get easily manipulated people like me and you to go and watch them. Is like, there's a hot man, his top falls off. Come on!
And they always show that in the trailer, even if the film has nothing to do with sex or nudity. They always manage to sling in a bit of torso or a bit of an armpit lick or something on the slide, don't they? Just
armpit lick.
Like in the trailers for Quantum of Solace. I remember.
Does James Bond lick his own armpit? You lick someone else's armpit? That's even worse.
I remember James Bond was supposed to be all very upset about Vesper.
A mouthful of antiperspirant.
It was all about revenge and everything. But then in the trailer, they were sticking. He was licking this woman's back. It was only like half a second, but you're thinking, hang on, what would Vesper have to say about this?
I don't remember. I've blocked out most of Quantum of Sausage. No.
Well,
it's just gone.
Well, I liked it, and I'd rather sit through that again. And as much back-licking as Daniel Craig wanted, as opposed to... I've lost track of my sentence. As opposed to watching Spectre again.
Okay,
yes.
well...
I'd watch Daniel Craig licking backs.
Right. I thought you meant you'd rather have your back licked than what...
I would.
I don't know if I'd enjoy that, to be honest.
What, back licking?
Yeah.
Oh, it's very good.
Oh.
I mean, you don't want to set out for a back lick. You want a back lick to be a nice surprise.
Well,
partway through your other activities.
Pottery.
Yes.
Stamp collecting.
Bit of back licking while you're potterying. There's got to be another word for potterying, isn't there? If you're doing pottery, is that the only option?
I honestly don't know.
Well,
I have a friend who's a potter. I could ask him, but not right now. Yeah. So we'll get back to you on that one, listeners. Yeah, next week.
James Newton Howard.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I said yeah.
He's the composer for the music from Hunger Games.
Right.
He's been the man doing Hunger Games from the very beginning. I'm not sure if he's into backlicking, but he is into the Huntsman because he did music.
Steady on. That sounds wrong.
He did music from Snow White and the Huntsman. This is Escape from the Tower. Ooh, intense.
Emotional roller coaster.
Oh yes, it was very sort of running away from something music. Well, I mean, it's called Escape from the Tower. So I think I mean it was a long time ago since I watched the movie, and I think I did purposefully try to forget it. But I do believe that the running away from the tower was one of the more exciting elements of the movie.
I remember going to see it. I took a young man on a date.
Did you?
To see it, and
we got him again after that choice of movie.
Sadly, well, I did, but anyway.
We got him to pottery.
Quite possibly. But we got press tickets to see it before it came out because I was reviewing it for a website. And so that was exciting and kind of cool. I was impressing a boy by taking him to see a film that wasn't out yet. And that kind of thing. And then as he came out, I said, "What did you think?" And he said, "At least it was free." Yeah, not the best choice.
Well,
but,
that's the good thing about a Cineworld Unlimited card, and we really should get paid every time we mention it.
Yeah.
But if you go and see a pants movie, you think, oh, it doesn't matter, I can just nip in and see a good one any minute now.
Yeah.
I can go and see another one right now if I want on your way out. Although when we saw Hunger Games, we went to a very late showing.
We did, which was fine. It was
always
nice.
Very exciting, isn't it? Don't you think? Cause
although
staying up late, something about it.
We were home for midnight, so we weren't staying up late. Really, I mean, it's a Cineworld. It closes. It's not like it's an all-night cinema.
We could have gone to the midnight screening the day before,
but I said no because I didn't want to get home at 2:30.
Yes,
and then have to get up 4 hours later.
But then I definitely wouldn't put the film on the same level as the Snow White and the Huntsman. But anyway, we'll get to that shortly because we've got some movie news to talk about.
Okay.
Yes.
To have a little kind of bomb, bomb, bomb.
We should do, shouldn't we?
We'll get one of those one day.
Instead, we'll just do...
All right, yeah. Someone... Is he being sat on? If he's not sitting on something... Is
No, he could be sitting on someone. No, he's not.
Oh.
But he's dealing with a person. Well, not a person, but he's making sure something is happening to something else.
Is it one of the guys on the underground who's like, stand clear of the closing doors, and someone's not stood clear of the closing doors, and they go, yeah,
no,
get out of the way, you fool.
I'm not sure what movie that would be from.
No.
Anyway,
it would be Gripping, I think. The Underground, the movie.
The Underground, the movie. No, there was a Channel 4 documentary though. Wasn't
It was really good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I didn't watch it.
Oh,
but that's not where this is from.
probably watching Farscape.
I was probably watching Farscape. Yes. Harrison Ford, did you know, said
I've never met him.
that he would play Indiana Jones in a fifth film because there was lots of talk about Shia LaBeouf taking over from old Indy after Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. But do you think Indiana Jones can come back after that outing, or would you consider that fridge well and truly nuked?
I, as far as I'm concerned, there are 3 Indiana Jones films because that last one was awful.
Well, I haven't seen any of the others.
You've only seen the Crystal Skull.
Yes.
Good Lord, man.
But at least that means that the other ones are definitely not going to disappoint.
No, you've got a lot to look forward to.
Is it just full of Nazis, though?
No.
Oh.
No.
I thought it was just Nazis this and Nazis that.
There's a bit of Nazism. Anti-Nazism, really.
Well, yes.
He's not secretly a Nazi, as far as we know.
But people were confused about the aliens.
Yes.
I mean, I was too.
Yeah,
but
everyone was. There's no aliens in any of the others.
But there's still fantasy elements.
Yeah, there are fantasy elephants. Yeah,
but there's
definitely.
no. It's gone to the space between
the
spaces.
No, none of that. Because
None of that
that was
rubbish.
drivel.
Yeah, and that flying saucer at the end. I mean, I don't know if you could consider that a rather hefty.
Okay.
Yes, I don't know if you could consider that a spoiler, but that was a really badly designed alien spaceship at the end of
Everything about that
Jones
film
there.
was wrong. See, I grew
He
up.
wouldn't have survived the spaceship, the fridge nuking either. Would he?
No. Well, they would have opened that and it'd have been like a lot of corned beef in that fridge. That's all there would have been, just smushed up. But I grew up with the Indiana Jones films. My mum's a big fan of Harrison Ford, so we did watch the movies growing up, and they were all dead good. They're really good, fun movies.
Is this just nostalgia?
No, because they're actually quite good. But so I kind of want him to come back, but he's getting on, bless him.
Yes. Well, he's still doing it all, though, isn't he? I mean, he's in Star Wars.
He is. As Han Solo doing his whole...
But do you think there comes a point when... Or is this being ageist now? Do you think there comes a point where you're looking at them thinking, stop pretending to be your young self? At least, take on some new roles and play some old people. Well,
I'm hoping that they're going to address that a little bit in Star Wars, in that obviously time has passed. It's not like it's the week after the end of the Return of the Jedi.
Well, they're all going, the stories, are they true?
And he's like, yes, the stories are true.
They're all true.
All of it. Anyway, yeah, so I'm if they do another one, it has to be good. Otherwise, I'll despair. And nobody wants me to despair, really, hopefully.
Wait a minute. Did George Lucas have anything to do with Indiana Jones?
Originally, it's LucasArts.
So Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is basically
him doing what he did to Star
Menace.
Wars. Yeah, he's doing a Star Wars to the other one of his good franchises.
Well, he says he would never direct another Star Wars film.
Excellent.
Because, well, he can't now anyway because he's sold it off, hasn't he?
Yeah.
But he says that you can't have any fun with it because people just criticize you. They don't. You can't. Nobody allows you to experiment because the brand is so established. The fans know exactly what they want. There's no room for experimentation. Unlike in, say, a truly creative and experimentative science fiction television series such as Farscape.
I think, yeah, I can see his point. Kind of like when the fanboys is that excited and big, then that's the fan base. Sorry, is all big and really kind of passionate. But then at the same time, if you say, Phantom Menace was an experiment in the Star Wars universe, and you go, well, no, it was just a very badly made movie.
I can't remember. I haven't watched it for a long time, but I do remember sort of the pacing being very strange for a Star Wars flick.
Yeah, and there was a little child, and then there was a pod race that went on forever.
Well, I mean, that was to spawn a video game.
And Jar Jar Binks, Jar Jar bloody Binks, who was just there to be the toy that everyone wants to buy because...
But Darth Maul was unbelievably cool.
Yeah.
There's something
Voiced
about
by-
bald villains, isn't
Yeah,
there?
well, with horns and red and black tattoos.
Oh, yeah.
Voiced by Peter Serafinowicz.
Who's that?
He's a guy that does the voices.
But why wasn't he voiced by the guy with the bald head and the horns?
Same reason that Darth Vader wasn't voiced by guy in the suit. I have heard. Have a look, listeners. Have a look on YouTube for Darth Vader original voice or something like that. It's very weird.
If that's not a Who Said That, then I should have done today.
And the poor lad actually thought that he was going to be. He was really upset when he found out that they were going to dub him over with James Earl Jones and the very deep voice.
Well, I mean, it became so iconic that.
I know it's a good choice.
It's a good job they did.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
exactly.
perhaps Star Wars wouldn't be talked about nowadays. I mean, a hero's only as good as his villain. You look at Batman and the Joker. Look at Doctor Who and the Daleks. Look at John Crichton and Scorpius.
Yeah.
Obviously, the best of those three examples.
And James Bond and the whiny Franz Oberhauser.
Yes, well, exactly. Yeah. That's where it goes pear-shaped.
Yeah, it does. No, actually, well, your point holds. Oh, hello. In the if it was any good, then the film would have been better.
I just thought maybe we could have a listen to.
Finding the right voice for Darth Vader was another challenge.
And action! Find the passengers of this vessel. I want them alive.
Yeah, that was Darth Vader originally.
That was the original Darth Vader voice. That's.
Sounds like a little spoiled teenager.
Yeah. It's not got the
James Earl Jones. I want them alive.
Yeah,
kind of thing. I quite like that. I wish I could talk like that normally.
It's more, I'm going to my room.
Yeah.
Find them and bring them to me.
Exactly. Yeah. Although put a different spin on the villain.
What?
Well, I was thinking it's time to move on, but yes, no, it is actually time to move on. We're going to play some more James Newton Howard from
Yes.
The Hunger Games.
Ooh, which
Mockingjay Part 1, because they haven't released Part 2 yet. But here we go. Incoming bombers!
That's ominous.
May I say that's what I really like about James Newton Howard's score for The Hunger Games. He can ramp up the action, and then he brings it all down to somewhere sort of thoughtful and full of wonder. So, as you may have guessed, we are now talking about...
Yeah. Dramatic music.
The Hunger Games. Sorry, someone's just died nearby. Boom. This is what they play every time somebody...
It's the tributes death march thing.
It's brutally smashed over the head with a...
Yeah.
with a fire extinguisher or whatever
Yeah.
is at hand in the Hunger Games arena.
That would be a crappy weapon, wouldn't it? Everyone else is getting bows and arrows or a spear.
You just
or...
marching with the fire extinguisher.
Yeah. That's a bit closer to Battle Royale, I think. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't seen Battle Royale. However, Hunger Games is apparently the American version of Battle Royale, yes. But I think that's Hunger Games, but not necessarily Catching Fire or the Mockingjay. It definitely goes in its own direction,
It
doesn't
definitely does, yes. Yes, it does. Anyway, shall we talk about...
Well, who's doing our 30
the
seconds
movie?
worth?
Oh, flip, I'd forgotten about that. Shall I do one, since I was away last week?
Yes, that's true. I think you've got some catching up to do, don't you?
Yes.
So, you're going to give us a 30-second rundown of sort of what happens in the Hunger Games franchise.
The whole franchise?
Yes. But,
Right.
I mean, we all know people kill each other, but...
Yes.
But try and delve more into the political end in the Mockingjay.
Okie dokie.
In 30 seconds.
All right, then. Yeah.
All right, here we go.
All right, so the whole of Panem, this country, what is apparently what used to be America, but they don't say that in the movies, they might do in the book, is divided into districts, and each district sends two champions every year, every now and then, for a killing spree. And then that keeps everyone kind of, like, subdued and not rebelling. And then they rebel anyway because the people in the capital are rich and powerful and bastards. And then they end up rebelling. That was not my best.
Well,
Wasn't my best.
I mean, it's basically it.
Accurate, I think.
Yes.
It was not my best.
Well, what I found about the Mockingjay. So basically, you've got people being sent to an arena from the various different districts to kill each other for some reason to help.
Just to end, it's a bit like
maintain the
X
capital
Factor.
city.
Yeah, it's like Panem's version of X Factor. It keeps everyone interested and stops them going, hey, hang on a minute. The people in the capital have all the money and food and power and clothes and hair dye, and we're out here in a log cabin in the woods, freezing to death and getting shot at.
I didn't like the Hunger Games because I thought every time somebody was getting killed, they shook the camera around like mental. You couldn't see it. I think if you're going to make a film about killing people, you should probably just accept the fact that people are going to get killed on camera and make it dirty, make it gruesome.
Make it dirty?
Well, no, not like dirty. No backlicking, please.
Oh, no.
But they didn't really go in for that. It seemed very young adult. And then with Catching Fire, again, it seemed like a kind of a repeat. At the end, it kind of got me quite interested. And then I really liked Mockingjay Part 1 because it was all talking in dark rooms about the political situation. Which is admittedly what the Phantom Menace was.
But
was
it's
like.
differently done.
This one was brooding. This one was about that. How to interpret propaganda and the media and how to manipulate it.
It wasn't...
And it's very current.
Yeah, well, yes. But then Phantom Menace was very kind of committees and voting and lots of trade partnerships and things like that, all of which are important. And, there are trade partnerships being discussed now that have huge repercussions and things like that on the world. But it's not very exciting in a movie. And I think that's where Hunger James? Poor James. The Hunger Games
That's
got
the
it
adult
right.
movie equivalent.
Yeah. I think that's where they got it right, was a good mix of the political stuff and the war's bad, y'all, and stuff like that, along with...
Well, no, it wasn't that simple.
No, well, that's the point. That was the point they made, that it's never just good guys versus bad guys. As in the Star Wars franchise, we seem to be pulling it back to that quite a bit at the moment, but let's carry on.
Well,
you've got the rebels and you've got the clones in the stormtroopery things, and that was part of the fun, was they were bred to serve the Empire, so there's nothing else they could do, so no one had to feel bad about blowing up ships full of them. Whereas in the Hunger Games, they kind of, like, very early on, Katniss says, surely we're going to catch some innocent people in the crossfire or in blowing up this base. And one of the guys says, it doesn't matter. Whatever they're doing, even if it's mopping floors, they're helping the enemy. And
I like how whenever you do an impression of somebody from a movie, they always use this voice.
That's because,
this exciting voice.
Yes, that's my exciting voice. And that's how everyone talks. Apart from...
It sounds like that's how you would talk while on the lavatory.
Okay.
Taking a phone call.
I very rarely talk. I don't like talking when I'm on the toilet at all. I don't like anyone talking to me. Like, no, makes it go back in.
But if you were talking on the lavatory, you would...
talk like this.
Yes,
Do you want me to use this voice? Shall I
Your
do
toilet.
the rest of the afternoon like this?
This is now going to be known as your toilet voice.
No. No.
No, but you're right. I can't remember where we were, but grey area.
Toilet, apparently.
Grey.
Yeah.
Grey area.
Yeah.
There's a big old grey area in the Hunger Games, and
it's very well
they have to wade
done
through that
Katniss.
Complicated area. Well,
Yes.
Katniss does, yes.
Katniss does.
You've got lots of random people being caught between the crossfire,
And it
who
does-
really shouldn't be caught in the crossfire.
And
But
it
then you
does,
don't know
if
who's
you
shooting
like-
at who anyway.
No, that's true. If you like, you could say that rather than being black and white, it's many shades of grey. Without actually mentioning
50 Shades of Grey.
which is an awful movie. And we
Yes.
don't need to talk about it.
And certainly not one of the big franchises, although there are another two on the way.
No, but it is a big franchise. That's
No,
the sad thing.
No, I refuse to accept that.
Yes, no. Ugh.
Well,
Did you see, by the way, just talking 50 Shades of Grey,
Ugh,
that there
do
was
we have to?
that there was you could buy a little romper suit for babies that said on
What?
a little romper suit for babies that said on the front of it, "Mummy read 50 Shades of Grey last year."
and then
And
here
then-
I am.
yeah.
When you
Blah.
so did you say
Disgusting.
rubber suit or?
Romper.
I was going to say that would be very peculiar. Someone's
Good
making
Lord.
little rubber suits for babies. Francis Lawrence,
Crashing on.
director of this Hunger Games, says that this is the most violent of the Hunger Games. Perhaps that's why I preferred it, because it did seem to be a little grittier and a little bit more accepting of its own material.
I think so, and it had more to it than
There was
the-
rubble everywhere.
Yes,
All,
ooh, blown up stuff. But I think as well, I'd say it was more violent, but at the same time, it also had... It was the most thinking of the four of them
absolutely,
as well.
yes.
Yeah, and that was really nice. The way it was done was really... I just want to say, because I'll forget if I don't say
Go
it.
on.
I know we're a little bit off topic, but not really. The trailer for this
Yes.
was brilliant because it didn't give anything away.
But that's because they know that they're going to make enough money out of it anyway.
Well, but I think any film that can make a trailer that gets you interested in the film, and it did, it was a good trailer, but it doesn't give away a lot of the film.
Yeah.
It just kind of, because going into a Hunger Games film that there's going to be traps and there's going to be things attacking people. So we saw that in the trailer. And we saw Katniss dancing with Primrose at the wedding and things. So happy bit, good, yay. Because in any film like that, especially if the wedding's before
Well, we've all seen Game of Thrones.
Well, yes, we all know that happy now. One of those two is going to die a bit later. Yeah. Sorry for spoiling it, but it's kind of obvious.
Well, weddings are generally bad news. I mean, if you've grown up with EastEnders, you know that weddings
one gets through
only
a
go
wedding.
a certain way.
Yeah.
What was I saying before you said you have something to say?
We were talking about the thoughtfulness of the Hunger Games and
Thoughtfulness
how it was...
Yes,
go on.
Well, don't you think it's refreshing to see a big old franchise, especially one that's aimed at young adult people who read the book?
Yeah.
Who obviously know what's going to happen in the movie anyway, but I'd like to think that it still had a few surprises in store for them as well.
I'm told it was a little different to the book.
Well,
there were certain key elements. Key elephants were very different in the book.
Well, don't you think, though, that it's interesting to see a film that just didn't seem so heavily reliant on CGI as some of the big blockbusters, Avengers and all that stuff that's coming out. And The Hobbit, which was sort of another Christmas release thing.
Yeah. It seemed very physical. I mean, I'm sure that the black
gritty.
goo that they get chased by, I'm sure that was probably CGI'd.
Yeah, but, I mean, it used sparingly and used well in Farscape fashion, as in science fiction shows need you to suspend your disbelief. So the best way to do that is to use physical, real effects such as puppetry, blend it with the CGI. Whereas if everything is Star Wars Attack of the Clones styley green screen with CGI on top, you look at it, it just looks like a kind of an illustration. The whole thing is a cartoon. You're not going to fall for it. So
what you're saying is that you prefer your movies to have physical effects that are enhanced with a bit of CGI when necessary, as opposed to making the whole thing. I would agree entirely. Yeah, definitely.
Hunger Games was very pretty, but also very gritty.
Good. Yeah, pretty but gritty.
Yeah, so I like it.
That's nice.
It works.
Should put that on the DVD.
I should.
Yeah.
James Newton Howard. Did you feel him?
I haven't felt him. I've never met him.
Did you feel his presence? I mean, he scored The Dark Knight Rises as well alongside Hans Zimmer. Did you feel? I
didn't
that
feel very
kind
Batman.
Of impact. Did you? Were you sitting there thinking, "Well, this is a damn good score"?
No, but then I don't listen to the music as consciously as you do. But what I will say is that I didn't notice anything that was out of place. The music that was used was very, very good because I hardly noticed it. It just added to everything else that was happening.
But then if you hear something that's out of place, that's not necessarily that the music is bad. It's that the music isn't used well.
That's what I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
But there was none of that. The music was used perfectly in this film. I think there was one bit where there was a dun-dun-duh kind of moment, which I thought was a bit strange.
Oh.
But, yeah.
Well, I can't remember what it was. I was trying to remember. I shouldn't remember. Okay, right. Fair enough.
No spoilers. Or we'll do our very best not to spoil it because there's so much that I want to talk about, but it's all
Yes, well, we respect the movie.
Well,
you
yes.
see. This is no The Last Witch Hunter.
Well, no.
This is...
Thank Flip.
Yeah. Did you know Michael Caine has mentally retired?
I believe you. Yeah, bless him.
But he says that he's only going to do films with good scripts. But that doesn't explain The Last Witch Hunter, does it?
Doesn't, not at all.
Strange decision there from Michael Caine.
Maybe he's friends with Rose Leslie or Vin Diesel or Elijah Wood.
Perhaps he's in a lot of debt. He just needs to pay
John
the bill.
Cleese style. He's just...
aside from Michael Caine, what were we talking about?
Hunger Games, I think.
My memory's lapsed this morning. Oh. Yes. James Newton Howard, impactful soundtrackage. Spoilers, that's it. That's where we got to. Yes, it's... Don't you think, as an ending, though, this was perfect?
Yes.
Because Harry Potter, as the ending of a big young adult franchise, didn't really do it for me. It felt like a bit of a dud, and it felt like everybody was giving it 5 stars as kind of almost in relief.
Yeah.
It's been going on for decades,
It's been
finally.
13 years.
But
yeah.
Lord of the Rings couldn't stop ending.
No, we talked about this. Lord of the Rings, Return of the King. The title's long enough. It's a 3.5-hour movie. It's got 7 endings. It's like I was busting for a wee, and every time, like, all right, they've had the wedding, right? I'm just gonna. Oh no, right?
The wedding.
Samwise Gamgee gets married to pointless pretty lady
yes,
who doesn't have any lines because
Well,
she's just there to look nice.
I just think, are these spoilers?
I don't really care. I never really. It went on too long for me. I never really got into the whole Tolkien shiz.
What do you mean, the talking shiz?
Tolkien and
Oh,
J.R.
No, I just think
Hartley.
they should have been blown up in the volcano, and that should have been the end. But obviously, this was a book, and they had to do all that. Actually, apparently, in the Lord of the Rings book, I know this isn't the Hunger Games, but in the Lord of the Rings book, they had to fight their way back to the Shire. They had to. They still had loads of orcs to deal with, obviously, but they don't deal with that in the movie, do they?
Well, apparently it was because it was going to be too long even for what they were doing. Yeah, Saruman.
Well, it would have been another movie, wouldn't it?
Yeah, Christopher Lee.
Yeah.
As the evil after he's used not Dumbledore, Gandalf as a floor buffer. You know, when they're in the tower and he's fighting just by spinning him around on the floor and flicking him.
Yes.
He's just having a dust. Using Gandalf as his duster.
It's like new from JML.
Yeah.
Gandalf mop.
Love it. I'd have one, definitely. But yeah, after that, he in the books, he runs off and takes over the Shire and kind of uses it to start to rebuild his army.
Interesting.
And that's what they have to fight their way back. They have to retake the Shire after they've killed the ring off and got rid of the ring.
Oh, that would have been very exciting.
But it would have been like, oh god, another one. I think that's why they decided not to use it. It was just
because
like,
Jesus, too many endings.
Yeah,
too many.
we've had enough. I want a day off.
But the Eagles were too easy.
Yeah, well, yes. And there's been a lot of arguments about...
why couldn't they just fly the Eagles to the volcano in the first place?
Well, there's a whole thing about this. In the you know in the movie where Gandalf is hanging off of the ledge, having just defeated the Balrog.
No. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You shall not pass.
Hang on. I'm going to have to.
I know. I knew it. I knew what it was.
So you know who said...
Shall not pass!
Yes.
Yeah, there he is.
Gandalf.
Good old Gandalf.
We are going to end the show on a little bit of Lord of the Ringage.
Oh, fun. But yeah, when he's hanging off the thing and he looks at them and they're all saying they're going, Gandalf! And he says, fly, you fools! There is a fan theory.
I thought he said, run, you fools.
Oh, in the book he says, fly, you fools. He does say run, you fools, in the thing. But there is a fan theory that he wasn't saying run away. He was saying, get yourselves to where the Eagles live, fly over everything, and chuck the ring in the volcano. You'll be done by tea time.
Why didn't he say, I'll be back in white shortly?
Well, I don't know. You'll have to ask J.R.R. Hartley. Tolkien.
Yes. What?
J.R.R. Hartley, that's fly fishing.
What?
No,
I'm lost
it's a
now.
Yellow Pages
I thought you were
advert.
talking about George R.R. Martin.
What? He didn't.
No.
He wasn't in Lord of the Rings, was he?
I'd like to see a Game of Thrones movie, actually.
God, no. Well, it goes on forever on the telly. You want a movie?
Endings, we say.
Yes.
Lord of the Rings ended a lot.
It did.
Harry Potter,
yeah. That was a while ago, wasn't it? We made that point. Yeah.
Harry Potter ended kind of on a bit of a...
yeah.
finally.
Everyone lives happily ever after.
Twilight, I didn't even see the ending. I'd lost interest by New Moon. As soon as Jacob put his shirt back on, I couldn't be bothered.
Well, the ending of Twilight, I didn't watch it. I remember reading a review of this. Is they have the big battle and all of the main characters start dying off, and there's pretty much no one left, and everything's going horribly wrong, and everyone's about to die, and then they go,
"It was all a dream."
Yeah, literally, they go, that's what would happen if we let the werewolves and the vampires fight. This child must be the bridge between them. And then everyone's alive and everyone lives happily ever after.
That's having your cake and eating it.
Bloody awful is what it is.
Yeah, it's just too much cake. You feel sick afterwards.
Yeah, no one wants that. But cake in moderate proportions.
The Hunger Games, on the other hand, ended on a very profound note, but also I feel like it had just enough action, just enough talking. All the characters kind of feel like they came to their own rounded
resolution.
End. Even Philip Seymour Hoffman's character, he died halfway through filming.
Bless him.
The way they dealt with that was very nice. What's the word I'm looking for?
Tasteful.
Yes, tasteful. That's it.
And there was
because with Paul Walker in Fast and the Furious, they kind of cut and pasted his face into it and made him wave goodbye, and I'm not sure that's tasteful.
It's awkward. And there's been adverts done with Marilyn Monroe where they've
who's that woman used in the Galaxy advert?
I don't know, but they've also done it with Holly Golightly.
Is that the Galaxy lady?
I don't know. I've forgotten her real name. Audrey Hepburn.
Is that the Galaxy?
I don't
lady?
know.
Oh, right.
I don't know. It might be. Yeah, we're being told
It's
yes.
a bit
The
like
audience is nodding.
using a hologram of Tupac Shakur, isn't it?
Yeah,
Is that
it's-
allowed? Are you allowed to do that?
The laws have been as the technology has advanced to the point where they can.
Well,
the
what would
laws have been
Tupac
changed
say?
to allow that. He doesn't matter. He's
What if they
dead.
use
That's legally
Tupac-
it does not matter because he's dead.
Well, what if they use Tupac in a Galaxy advert? Would that be
Well,
allowed?
I think they need to have because he's a creative artist, they need to have permission from his estate. In the same way that Blues Brothers, if you do anything Blues Brothers related, you need to have creative license from John Belushi's estate, because he was one of the Blues Brothers, and he owns all the rights. And because he died, it went on to his family or to whatever it was. The way it worked.
Interesting.
Yeah, a little boring, but anyway, where were we?
Learning something new every day. We're
Dead
going to play
people.
some James Newton
Right.
Howard.
Just before you do,
Yes.
Elizabeth Banks. She was awesome. Her part in the final movie as Effie Trinket, smallest part with her in all the way through the franchise in this movie. She was criminally underused. I love
Sorry, which
her.
one was her?
She's the blonde lady who does all the dressing up and stuff.
Oh, yes.
I love her.
Well, do you know what? I was going to say that
Elizabeth
I think
Banks is awesome.
everybody did very well. And I'd say you could probably tell that there were 5 Oscar-nominated actors in this movie.
Well,
yeah.
I not off the top of my head, but I'm sure if I wanted to, I could
No, but
count them up.
it certainly felt like
Yeah.
there were some good actors. You know, actually, what I felt like on the way out of the movie was I'd actually properly, settled into this world.
Yeah, it was
I'd
nice.
kind of forgotten I was sitting in a cinema.
Well,
I'd just let Hunger Games roll over me.
The only thing that
I
annoyed
let
me.
it lit my back.
Oh, well, I'm going on to now. Actually, 2 things. First, did you have a favourite of the actors in this particular? Who was your favourite actor? Let's say male actor, because everyone loves Jennifer Lawrence, and I love Elizabeth Banks.
Well, I
And
mean,
I love
obviously
the-
Donald Sutherland is great. And
Oh, he was, wasn't he? Yes.
Woody, what's his face?
Harrelson.
Yes,
Yeah.
he was lovely.
Yeah.
They're all very good. I like Julianne Moore as well as the.
President Coin.
Yeah.
Her eyes freaked me out. Those contacts were a bit weird. I liked the guy with no voice.
Yes,
I
I mean
thought-
it's exactly.
He had
Everybody-
no lines, and yet you really felt for him at times. He managed to emote wonderfully to say he didn't get to say a single word because they'd cut his tongue out.
It felt
or
like
something.
everybody was really believing in who they were.
Yeah.
And everybody had things to do. You know, it wasn't just sort of people on the sidelines. Sometimes you get that in the Avengers.
Yeah, and it was very much that everyone had a rounded character, a little bit like in Mad Max, where
Oh, yes.
where the writer wrote a backstory for every single character, so everyone knew who they were and where they
That's
were
very
from and that
important.
kind of thing. It must have been exhausting, and it must have taken forever because there's a lot of people, and most of them don't say much and then die in Mad Max. But still,
From an actor's perspective, though, you need that to where, you know, even if it's just deciding how your character walks. Something
Yeah.
might have happened in his past, you know,
Yeah,
and it just
like got shot in the
as an
leg.
audience member, you probably don't register it, you don't think about it, but it just adds a layer.
definitely.
James Newton Howard,
Yeah, him again.
air raid drill.
Righto.
Here we go. Oh, James Newton Howard, you know just what to do. I like him. He's up there, isn't he, with the Michael Giacchinos and the Hans Zimmers and the John Williamses. He's got a very classic sound.
You tell me.
What do you mean?
You tell me. Is
Oh.
he up there with the?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. He's overlooked. I mean, we haven't played too much of him on the show before, but yeah.
No. There's a wonderful, just talking John Williams, there's a brilliant clip on YouTube, Star Wars without Williams, where they do the final scene of the Return of the Jedi, where they walk through and they get their award, their medals off Princess Leia, and Chewie's them going, ah, and everyone's kind of stands.
Do they use a harmonica or something?
No,
Soundtrack?
it's just silent. It's instead of having like the big swelling Star Wars end.
Oh,
theme,
yeah, it's just-
they just have a lot of people kind of going.
Well, this is it. This is it. The composers make the movie. With Hollywood relies so much on bombastic pieces of music to make the visuals more exciting. Without them, we'd just be watching people do stuff.
Yeah, and people do stuff all the time. No one wants to see it, do they?
I know. We're going to mention before we go.
We are running out of time. Go.
The East London Radio crowdfunding.
Yes, give us your money.
Yes,
give them your. Give it to us if you want, but give it to East London Radio.
Well, I mean, obviously, without that cash, we'll be out of not a job, but a fun thing to do. We like it here. It's lovely, and everybody helps, and everybody's wonderful, and it's a real community vibe. So if you go to elrcomfortably.co.uk, have a look at our blog. You'll be able to get the information there on how to donate some cash to East London Radio to keep us going
or go
strong.
To eastlondonradio.org.uk. It's
yes, of
probably
course.
on there as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you've got some options there.
Yeah.
Although, do you think that a better way to raise money for East London Radio would be to hold an East London Radio Hunger Games?
Yes.
How do you think you would fare?
I think I'd do quite well. I'm a nasty fighter. I think even with a fire extinguisher, I could
You'd go in there with your fire extinguisher.
I'd check you out straight away.
I'd probably just hide in a bush.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Until the majority are dead, and then I would
sneak out and win.
When I'm
exhausted,
when you're sleeping, hugging your fire extinguisher,
knackered from beating the crap out of everyone on Plug the Gap or whatever. Yes,
and then we can lob your fire extinguisher at the big shield around the arena and find a way out, and then revolt. And actually, that wouldn't make any money, would it?
No.
So,
although I think thinking about it, Jonathan, station manager Jonathan, he's Irish. He's probably quite good in a fight. I don't want to go up against him really
in a Hunger Games.
Yeah, or Aaron. Aaron's got you can see in his eyes that he's killed before, and he'll do it again. Definitely, I think.
We guessed star who said that then earlier. It was
did.
Gandalf.
It was Gandalf.
We're going to go out on some Lord of the Rings, but first
Right.
I'd like to ask you whose no is better, Darth Vader or Frodo?
That's gonna stay with me.
I'm going to go for Darth Vader. It's like
No.
they're having really unenjoyable sex together.
They're both disliking what's happening to them right now. No, I think I'm going to go with Frodo because he's a whiny little gimp all the way through, whereas Darth Vader's actually quite a strong and interesting character up until the point where they added in that no, because it wasn't in the original.
He did it twice as well.
Yeah,
It's just too many no's for one movie.
But it wasn't in the original version.
That's what we were all thinking about the prequels. We were all just going, no, he was just speaking for us.
Yeah. But this is George Lucas doing his remastering and adding stuff that didn't need to be there.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, yeah.
We're going to Enya it up. Until next time,
Enya.
here's some Lord of the Rings vibage.
Oh, wow.
Join us next
Bye.
week for another thrilling episode of Are You Sitting Comfortably?